Welcome to M9 Prime Gaming. This is my review of South Park Snow Day. If you want to keep hearing this kind of content, please like and subscribe. That would be greatly appreciated. First of all, South Park Snow Day came out on March 26, 2024. So it's not that long ago. And I don't usually review newer games because I don't really play newer games. But at this price point, I was like, why not? It can't be that bad. And the game is only $29.95 or $29.99, basically $30 in Canada, which is a great deal for a brand new game. I got the disc from Amazon delivered to my house for $33 taxes in, which is a steal because at $29.95 Canadian, it is very cheap considering in the USA right now the game is also $29.95, which is roughly $40 Canadian with today's conversion rate. And I think that's ridiculous. Like, this game for 30 bucks is worth a checkout. For 40, it's iffy. And let me get into why. First of all, this game does continue the story from The Stick of Truth and The Fractured But Whole. Those two games were RPG. The Stick of Truth was a turn-based RPG, and The Fractured But Whole was more of an action RPG. The combat was different. The theme of the first game was more like Lord of the Rings, and the second game, which is The Fractured But Whole, was more superheroes, probably going into the Marvel universe, kind of. That was the big thing at the time, and that's what they went for. Both games were fantastic. This game, which was developed by a developer called Question, which I have never heard of. Like, I've never heard of them. I just Googled them. Their only other two games are The Magic Circle from 2015. I have no idea what that is. And The Blackout Club from 2018. I had to do a double take when I read that. Because, again, that's another one. I have no clue what it is. So their track record is non-existent in my books. It's basically a new developer. And the publisher is THQ Nordic, which I think published the other South Park games, even though I know Ubisoft was the one that made Stick of Truth go across the finish line, but THQ Nordic is who I associate with South Park games. So this developer is unknown, and there are parts where it shows. Like, this game is, I'm not going to say problematically bad. It feels unfinished, or it just needs a level of polish that just doesn't exist right now in this game. Like, the writing in the game is okay. It is meant to be like an episode of South Park. The voices are good. The cutscenes I like. And they do mention the previous games, which to me is really cool. But it has a lot of technical shortcomings. And the biggest one is it is a 4-player game. It kind of reminds me of the old N64 South Park game that came out, but that was a first-person shooter. This one is a third-person action-adventure game. So you do have ranged weapons and melee weapons, and you're basically in third person. You have special abilities, you have basically control of your character, and the way they do it is there's 4 new kids, but you're the really good new kid. Like, you're the real new kid, right? New kid, wink wink, you know. Like, it's they play into it. The jokes are not as good as the previous games. Like, you can tell that the writing was not as in-depth as the previous games, and probably because they had less time, and it is a much smaller game. The actual gameplay I find no problem with. I did like it. It is short overall. I mean, there's only a couple big missions, and I have replayed a couple missions, and they do vary slightly here and there. Like, sometimes you get different, like the different map, not different map rotation, but you get the map in different order, and you get different enemies, and it's meant to be replayed constantly. You have dark matter, which is basically stuff from Mr. Hanky. So it's fecal matter, is the technical term, that you collect, and you use that for upgrades. And upgrades are like more health, get more toilet paper, which is like the in-game currency to upgrade your cards. And also there's the card system that you start off before your first battle, or like at the beginning of the round, both teams meet up and they put their cards down, and they give you like extra points in like damage, or they give you your which is your triangle move on the PlayStation, and that's like your special ability. And like there's ones where you become giant and you just do more damage, and when you jump, everything, like you do a shockwave. There's ones where you summon little kids to fight on your behalf. It's just basically like a super power-up power, but you only have like 2 or 3 uses before it expires, and then during your mission you can replenish that in different ways. Well, only one way that I've seen, but basically I use it for that last minute effort. You get 2 special powers that you get to assign to your bumpers, and there's 6 to choose. No, there's not 6, sorry. There is, I think, 10 to choose from, or 8. Definitely more than 6. There's only 6 weapons to choose from. And I usually use the healing and then one other one, whichever one I'm feeling. I don't feel it makes a huge difference. The healing totem is probably the one that makes the most difference when you're playing. And also with every battle, if you don't have your friends with you, you get AI that comes and fights with you. And the AI is actually pretty decent. They're pretty good. And then as soon as the battle's over, they disappear into the snow. And they come back when you do the next battle. So it's kind of nice. You don't have to worry about keeping track of them. After the battle, they just disappear. They're not going to get stuck on the environment. It's a pretty smart way of doing it. The biggest issue I've had is I have not been able to play online. For a multiplayer game, I have not been able to connect to anybody. And unfortunately, none of my friends have this game. No one's willing to spend $30 on it. Understandable. I mean, IGN gave it a 3 out of 10. Steam, it's sitting at about 6 out of 10. And I understand those scores, but also at the same time, the 3 out of 10 is harsh from IGN, and I think that's a bit low for what this game really is. I have not been able to connect to anybody, and I've hosted a game when I was playing, like I was basically turned on my internet, put on that I'm hosting a public game so people can join. I don't know if there's drop in and drop out during the missions or if it's just at the beginning, but no one joined my game in like 2 hours of play, so I don't think the internet part is working, which is a huge bummer, but it is what it is. That's my biggest complaint. And the second complaint I have is the sound mixing. I don't know if it's mixing or just the way they do it, but you'll be watching a cutscene and the camera will change perspectives, and a character like Cartman talking, and he'll get super loud, and it's like it's jarring. It's just, instead of having the soundtrack to be just standard for your cutscene, it is based on how close the characters are to the screen. Even though it's like they change it mid-sentence, you're gonna get the loud Cartman and then the quiet Cartman, and it's jarring, and it's done. It needs to be fixed. Hopefully there'll be a patch where they'll fix that, because it is annoying, and it only happens during cutscenes, but it stands out like a very big sore thumb. Now here's why I say this game is not that bad, and like the 3 out of 10 at IGN, I can't agree with that score at all. Steam's 6 out of 10 is where I personally think this game belongs, and you know why? It's only because it's $29.99. It's $30. It is what I would assume would be a smaller game at a smaller price tag, and it's a very affordable price tag, at least here in Canada. I mean, $30, we don't see that often. Helldivers was about $56 when it was $39.99 in the States. So, I mean, in the States at $30, this game is not a great deal. It's alright. It'll probably be on sale very soon. But I was able to get a PS5 disc for $29.99 from Amazon. And it came no problem. Like everything worked. So for $30 Canadian, this game is a steal, brand new, out of the box. And it has its shortcomings, it has its issues, but as a South Park game, if you're a South Park fan, you're going to have a bit of fun with this game. You're going to have about 5 to 10 hours of fun, and for $30, it's worth it. It's less than a cup of coffee for every hour of fun. So that's not very expensive. I've spent $30 on way worse things before. And I like South Park, so for me this was like, I'm on the fence. Then I saw the bad reviews and I was like, oh, I'm still on the... But I was like, you know what, $30, whatever. I'll pick it up, I'll play it. If I don't like it, it's only $30. It's not, well, here in Canada, $79.99 for a game, $80 plus taxes. That is, like, if this game was $80, this would have been a 1 out of 10. Definitely don't pick it up. But for $30, 6 out of 10 seems very, very reasonable for this game. In terms of how it plays, because it plays fine, the mechanics are good. Like, your powers interact with each other. If you have a fart cloud and you set it on fire, it makes an explosion. Everything in that cloud goes on fire. Like, things work the way you expect them. And I've never gotten stuck in an environment. I've never had enemies glitch out on me. It was been smooth sailing for like the last 5-6 hours I played, and apart from not being able to connect to anyone online or have people connect to me, mind you, this was all public. I had no problem. So I don't know if my friends would have an okay time connecting to me, but just random people, they were not able to connect to me, and I was not able to connect to random people. Every time I would try it, and this is different times a day, at different days, it would start, say, joining game or like connecting, and then it would fail, and it would kick me back to the starting area in the hub world or the hub area. The other thing I was not able to get working is the free DLC where Nicole is standing there. It's the Dance or whatever, DANSE, and it's supposed to be like wave-based maps where waves of enemies come at you. Every time I try to start it, it just says, this is meant to be played with people. Going by yourself is going to be hard. And then nothing happens. The game does nothing. I don't know if I'm supposed to go somewhere. It doesn't tell me anything. I just assume it's broken. It'll be patched in or something. I've tried to even connect to people playing that mode, and it's failed every time. So I just give up. It's free DLC. I'm sure people will want to play it, and maybe I'll check it out if it actually starts working. But the base game, the story missions, they're all there. It's all voice acted. It's the quality you would expect from a South Park game in terms of cutscenes. Apart from the sound problems, but it's there. I like how they mention the old games. I like how the style, like, if you played the first or the second game, Cartman's still a wizard. Kyle is still an elf with the crown on his head. Stan is like a barbarian type, and Kenny's still a princess. Like, Princess Kenny is still there. So they've kept all that, and it's done well. The actual gameplay is fun for what it is, but don't expect too much. Like, this makes me think of Xbox 360 or PS3 games, like when the online service was just starting and they had those $10 to $20 games like Monday Night Combat, where you download it. It's a downloadable only game, and it's good for about 7 to 20 hours depending how much you want to put into this game. But like, it's fun, it's quick, you play it, you get over it, you had your fill. Sometimes you go back to it here and there, sometimes you don't. So who knows, maybe you'll get patched and it'll get much better, but like, the actual gameplay loop is quite fun, and it's just the right length where it's not annoying or it's too repetitive. Because you can change up your powers, you can change up your weapons. You get 3 melee weapons and 3 ranged weapons, and they all work a little bit different. So it's not like the same thing, just different skins, which I like. And then you have your clothes, and like, you can customize your character. Though I do find that's a little bit hard because you do have to do challenges to get points to unlock more cosmetics. But if you don't really care about getting all the cosmetics, this game will be fine. It plays fine. It works fine. It looks fine. I haven't had any frame rate issues. So enjoy your game. Thank you for watching. And if you made it this far, please like and subscribe. And come see me. Come check my channel out here and there. I'm not asking you to hit that notification bell unless you really want to, because I know that is a lot to ask from somebody. Personally, I don't have them on for a lot of videos, just a couple favorites. And hopefully one day I'll get to that point with you guys. But until then, happy gaming.